G'day everybody, today I am putting some little spotlights onto the Massey Ferguson 135, which is just sitting over there because it's got no lights on it, and Dad wants some lights on it for when he's out helping Mum feed the cattle at night. Obviously can't see where he's going, so gonna put a few spotties on there. I went out and bought the cheapest eBay ones. I think they were about $32 for 4 of them, so that's these ones right here. I had to put some 3-bond in the hole up where that wire goes because they're going to sit up like that on the tractor. I didn't want water going through into that hole. I think they're meant to sit like that, but well, we'll see how they go. If they're rubbish, they're rubbish. It was only 32 bucks, but it's not going to matter. I went and got all my switches and relays and whatnot. So all that's going to be mounted up on the tractor. So this will be a bit of a how-to on just putting lights on from scratch with no existing wiring. We'll go right through and we'll hook them up. So I'm going to have 2 switches, so there'll be 2 LEDs facing forwards and 2 LEDs facing the front, so obviously for back and front of the tractor. So I will get this set up and I'll start mounting up the lights now, and then I'll do the wiring. Okay, got the lights mounted up, so now I'll get all my wiring ready. I'll start making that up, get all my lengths cut to length, and then we'll be right to start mounting up the relays and the switches, and I'll run all the wiring down around the roll bar, and we'll conduit that and get it all nice and tidy. And then we'll run it all up into the back of the dash there on the tractor. We'll hook it all up. Okay, so what my plans are is, got a roll of wire here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this wire up to each earth wire on the spotlights and have the same earth wire. I'll run that down the roll bar and up into the back of the dash, and I'll have that on a common earth. Save running a heap of different wires and trying to earth them all. It's just easier to run one wire down. That'll save a bit of mucking around. So I'll do that first, and then I'll do similar for the power. So I'll do that now. Okay, so I've hooked up the earth wire, so it's hooked up to every single light all the way across, and then that'll run down the roll bar, and then I'll run that up under the dash and I'll earth it in there. So now what I'll do is I'll do pretty much the same thing with the positive wires, except I'm only going to hook 2 lights to each wire, because obviously front and rear, because there'll be different switches. So I'll hook those 2 lights to each wire, and then I'll run them down the dash as well, and then we'll be right to set up the switches and the relays, and we'll hook it all up. Okay, so that's all hooked up. I'll put conduit over all the wiring down to here. So I'll zip tie all that up to the rail. So now ready to, I'll conduit all these wires here, follow them up and push them through the dash. And once they're up in there, we can put switches in and do the relays. So I'll quickly just conduit that up and then we'll jump back at it on the relays. Alrighty, got all that wiring, it's all tied up nice and neat, all the way down along the bar, and then it runs into there and up into the dash. Also hooked up the earth wire, I don't know if you can see it, that one there. So now we're ready to set up the relays and the switches. So I'll have to drill 2 holes in the dash for the switches, and the relays will just mount up on the battery box. There's a couple of holes there, but I'll be able to fit them. So I'll organise how they're going to sit, and then I will show you how I'll wire them up. Alright, as you would have saw, just drilled the holes for the switches and mounted them up. So what I'm going to do now is run you quickly through how I'm going to set up my relays wiring. So what I've got is this wire here is power in, and that goes into the relay, and then I am running it so that power then goes in there and then jumps across to the switch side of the relay. Because the way I like to set them up is I have the earth wire going to the actual switch, and then when you hit the on button, hit the switch on, then it earths, and then you create a circuit, and then there'll be a wire from the other side here. I think it's 87 pin will go to my fuse and then to the lights. So that's how I'm going to set the relays up. It's a little bit simpler than running extra wires and power wires for the switch. So that's how I like to set them up. So I'm going to finish doing the wiring, and then I'll mount this one in and we'll test the lights and see whether or not they work. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I'm just making the wires for the switch. So these will run to my earth point that I've got for the main earth for the lights. So I'll just strip these ends off the wire, I'll put little terminals on. Alright, so there's the two wires that'll hook up to the switch, and that'll create earths from both those switches. So I'll hook them up now, and then I will make the wiring, the two earth wires from the switches to the earth on the relay. Okay, it'll be a bit hard to see, but right down there, see a couple of black wires coming off. That's the two switches. So I've hooked up the earth switches, and they go down to that little bolt there. That's where they're all earthen. And then I've hooked them all up to the relay. So the power wire, which I've just got sitting up here at the moment, let's go hook to the battery. That's sitting up there. Come down here, and it goes into this one with the two wires coming out of it. That jumps over to the switch side of the relay. And then I have the earth wire going up into the back to the switch, and then that earths, then power out to my fuse. I've just got to join the fused side to the wire to the light, and then we'll be able to test it. So I will solder that up, and then I'll hook that wire to the battery. We'll be able to see whether or not it's going to work. Okay, I've got all the wiring hooked up for that relay. It's connected to the battery, so I'm just about ready to test it. I'll just show you where the relay is. So the relay is just there. I don't know if I can really get a good shot of all the wiring, but that's what it sort of looks like underneath. So we'll flick it on. I've got the work lights there, so there we go. There's the fronts working. So that's good that they're working. So what I'll do now is I'll do the exact same, but for the rear lights, hook that relay up. Wait for that plane to go past. I'll hook the relay up, hook all those wires up to it, solder in the fuse, and then I'll test those rears and make sure that they're working too. Okay, just set up that second relay, just finished soldering in the fuse. So I'll explain again just how the wiring works onto the relay. So we've got power in is this wire here where the two wires are. That's pin 30 on the relay. Then it jumps over to the switch side of the relay, which is 86. So that means I don't need to put another bit of wiring in with a separate switch. And then earth is 85, which is the one directly across from 86. And that goes up to the switch here, and then obviously it goes the other side and earths. And then 87 is this red wire, which goes to the fuse, and then it goes to the yellow wire, which in turn goes up to the rear lights. So I will now hook up the power wire to the battery, and I'll test those rear lights, and hopefully they're working. Then I'll be able to just tidy up the wiring, and we'll be done. All right, so I just finished manning up that relay and put the power wire onto the battery. So now we are right to test it. So I'll just chuck them on. Yep, they're both working. So that's pretty much done now. So I will have a tidy up and put the hood back on the little battery cover area, and then I'll be right to part this up. So thanks for watching, everybody. This is just a little bit of a, no, not even really that much of a how-to. It's just how I go about wiring up lights when there's no existing wiring or lights to hook up onto. So it's pretty much been done from scratch. So maybe you learned a little bit. If not, doesn't matter. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.